Good morning. My name is Reverend Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I want to welcome you here today. Thank you for bringing your love into this space this morning. So we had some musical chairs that happened last week. People left with other chairs. So the chair that was left here last week is this one blue one over here. So if someone's missing a chair, there it is. So I've been reflecting this morning on this last year because I realized yesterday that this marks the 1 year anniversary of us having service out here together. And yeah. And it's so interesting because I know, when everything shut down last March, we were kind of thinking it was only going to be for a short period of time, right? We were told 2 weeks, flatten the curve. And then it extended itself, and we started to feel all the things we were feeling with all of the uncertainty combined with it. And we were sitting here trying to figure out how do we do community in this time where we want to make sure we're keeping everyone safe and still create space for us to make sure that we don't know that we're alone in. And so I'm just so grateful for all of your flexibility as we spent an entire year through all of the seasons outside together, coming together when it was really, really, really cold. And where we couldn't feel our fingers or our toes by the time we were done. And also really warm. And we're really lucky that I think I'm pretty sure we only got weathered out one Sunday. It was snowing, and that was just a little too much. So I'm just so grateful that we figured out how to be together in ways that are safe. And isn't it amazing that a year later that we're vaccinated? I just like, God is good. I tell you, it's amazing. So thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for watching online if you've been connecting with us that way. And I'm just so grateful that somehow we figure out how to do it, how to come together in community and remind one another of bigger things. So if you're comfortable this morning, we're just going to center into this space of breathing into this beautiful morning. Breathing into what it feels like to be alive here today. With the birds singing and the gentle breeze. And I just recognize the power and the presence of the One bringing us through all of the cycles and changes of our lives. Recognizing that our spirits are so deeply connected to an energy and an essence that is in and through all things, and that we're just vibrating with the entire essence of life. And so I just know that right where we are is exactly where we're supposed to be. And that all of the love and the peace and the wisdom of the One is right here. And so we allow ourselves to tap into that in whatever way we need to today. For whatever clarity and sacred witness needs to happen so that we may remember and so that we may remind one another of that love. And so I just lean into that. And I let it be. And so it is.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. And I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul.
I was introduced to a poem that really spoke to me this week. So I want to share it with you. And I am going to butcher the poet's name because it's Polish, and I do not, or I think it's Polish. It looks Polish to me. So it's Czesław Miłosz. What do you think? I think it was close. Anyway, he was the 1980 winner of the Nobel laureate in literature. And this poem said something to my soul this week, so I want to share it with you. It's called Love. Love means to learn to look at yourself the way one looks at distant things. For you are only one thing among many. And whoever sees that way heals his heart. Heals his heart without knowing it from various ills. A bird and a tree say to him, friend. Then he wants to use himself and things so that they stand in the glow of ripeness. It doesn't matter whether he knows what he serves. Who serves best doesn't always understand. And so we just take the energy of looking at ourselves the way we look at distant things, remembering that we are one amongst many, that we are amongst friends. And we just allow the meditation to move us today.
It was a tune by John Bartlett called Corral. Here's a Duke Ellington song.
That was beautiful. Thank you. So it was a wild week around here for various reasons, including the weather. So Monday, I know a lot of us got a lot of water, but you should have seen the road behind you because it was a river. And the park was flooded, and it was quite a scene around here. And then we got more rain last night, and there's this feeling, right? Like that the earth and the garden and everything is just like ready, right? Like so grateful for all of this nourishment that allows it to grow. And I just feel like there's all of these things that on all of these levels that are coming together and falling apart right now. But it's kind of like Parker Palmer talks about. It's like everything's on the brink. We're on the brink of everything. And I love that sense of being like and willing to be right on that edge of things, because we so often, it feels like, don't want to stay in that space where things are unresolved or unexplained yet. So I've been thinking about that. Like, how do we remember that we're on the brink, that we can stay there, that that we're poised in possibility? And one of the things that happens for me is to hang out with little kids. And so I haven't gotten to do that a lot over the last year because of the pandemic. So I'm really grateful for vaccines and for the fact that my good friends have kids, so I don't have to have them myself. It's awesome. So yesterday I got to spend some time with someone I hadn't spent time with in the last year. And he just turned 5, and he is the cutest little guy. And he's funny. So we were swimming, and he saw this other little girl who had long brown hair. And he's like, "Is that your sister?" And I said, "No, I don't have a sister." And he said, "Well, you could just buy one." And it made me just, laugh on that level of, wow, right? On the brink of everything. Like, what are our brains doing? So I got cold because the storm was coming in, and we were swimming, and I got out of the pool and put clothes on, and I came up and said, "Hi." And he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "It's Kylie. I was just playing with you." And he said, "Oh, you look different with clothes on." And it's just those things, right? Which make our brains go, like, where did we stop letting that kind of wonder and awe into our lives, right? Like, where did we stop making the decisions from some sort of soul level, and we started making decisions on our brain level, on what we think makes sense and what will make sense to other people, and making ourselves fit into the world we think we're supposed to live in, and all of that. Like, where did we stop? Where did we stop being on the brink of everything? And so I've been really thinking about all of the ways in which we could ask our souls to more deeply participate in our decisions. Because it's so interesting how we've gotten so enculturated to think that the way that we make decisions or go about what it is we're doing in our lives is to make it make sense logically. And I don't know about you, but not all of the things that make my soul happy are logical. And that's why I loved that line in the poem I shared earlier that says, "It doesn't matter whether he knows what he serves. Who serves best does not always understand." And I believe that is true of our soul level stirring, and that we often discount it because it doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't seem like it fits in both the timing, the logic. It doesn't sit or fit with what would make sense if we were explaining it to someone else. And there's this way in which we've actually so discounted this level in which our soul is always talking to us that we haven't actually let a deeper form of I could call it happiness, but it's really more than that. It's like this level in which we really understand our connection and our wholeness and our peace. And that has to come from somewhere else than just our brains, because our brains cannot get us there. So Anne Sexton said, "Put your ear down close to your soul and listen hard." And what a beautiful invitation, right? Because we usually make that be the last thing we do. It's like, all right, everything else is situated. Now we're going to listen to our souls. And that invitation that says, actually, the first thing to do is to put your ear down and listen hard and be open to what shows up there. So I've been thinking also for myself personally in this a lot, because people keep asking me, so what do you think you're going to do with this architecture stuff you're learning? And I'm like, I don't know. All I know is that I put my ear down, and this is what came out of it. And I don't need it to make sense. I don't need to know where it's going. It doesn't need to do anything, right? What is true and what is real is something deeper than that. And I think that one of the things that we're discovering culturally, if you've been paying attention to the way people are talking about reentry and what they want their lives to look like as we figure out what it means to be together again in community, is like, wow, my values have shifted. What I want to do around work is different, how I want to relate to that. And so we see that all over the place. You know, we were talking to concrete contractors this week, and they're like, we need employees. Would you come work for us? And we're like, no, but let's have a conversation, because obviously, right, they're talking about the soul level stirring that's happening in so many people that's turning them in different directions. And there's this way in which, if we're paying attention to that we could really start to recognize that there's a lot of different ways there, but that we have to give ourselves permission to honor it. So Khalil Gibran wrote in The Prophet, and I don't know if it's one of those books that got passed to me when I was young. I actually have my mom's copy. Mom, if you're looking for it, the one Brenda gave you in 1983. I think I was 2 years old, so it was around when I was really small. And it was written in 1923. But reading it now, it feels so contemporary. So this is what Khalil said: "Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not that I have found the path to the soul, but rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, and neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals." And so our soul, right, is walking this path with us. We get to encounter it on the path that we're walking, no matter what that path is. And it has this capacity to speak into us a deeper sense of creating this kind of spaciousness for it to be in our lives, so that there's something else that we can have contact with that's not just what we think our culture thinks our life should look like, what that next step should look like based on, what we think our goals should be based on where we are in our life, or all of those definitions. And that's not the language our soul speaks. And it refuses to be understood in that way, and it refuses to be confined in that way. And so we run up against that over and over. When we are unwilling to let our souls speak, we end up unsatisfied, right? There's that longing in us to be paying attention to something bigger. So Wayne Muller said, "The more spacious and larger our fundamental nature, the more bearable the pains in living become." And I think that this is what happens when we start to let our souls guide us, is that we start to create a container that's big enough for all of the things in life that happen. And we stop pushing away the pains of life that are the inevitable things, because our souls have a space that's big enough to understand a bigger context. And so I go back to this story over and over and over again about a Hindu master who was growing tired of all of his apprentices complaining. And so one morning he sent him for some salt. And when the apprentice returned, the master instructed this unhappy young man to put a handful of salt in a glass of water and then to drink it. And the master said, "How does it taste?" And the apprentice drank it and said, "It's bitter. It's gross." And the master chuckled and then asked the young man to do the same, take the same handful of salt and put it into the lake. And so the two walked in silence to the nearby lake. And once the apprentice swirled his handful of salt in the water, the old man said, "Now drink from the lake," and asked, "How does that taste?" And the apprentice said, "Fresh." "Do you taste the salt?" asked the master. And the young man said, "No." And so he said, at this time, the master sat down beside this unhappy but now serious young man who so reminded him of himself, and took his hands, offering this: "The pain of life is pure salt, no more or less. The amount of pain in life remains the same, exactly the same. But the amount of bitterness we taste depends upon the container we put the pain in. So when you are in pain, the only thing you can do is to enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass, become a lake. Stop becoming a glass. Stop being a glass, become a lake." And I think about this, especially when I'm getting those nudges to listen to my soul in a deeper way. This idea of like, where have I contained this sense of becoming? Where have I created a place that's too small? Because it is obvious that there is a call for becoming something bigger, allowing a wisdom to operate that's deeper, and that can only happen if I let my soul into the conversation. It can't happen if I only rely on logic, if I only rely on my brain, if I only rely on the things I think I can understand. I cannot create a big enough container that way. And so I just am deeply committed in this sense right now, in this perfect place of poise that this season is, where things are blooming and ready to start bearing fruit, that we stay on that brink edge, right? Like that we let that wonder and expectancy in. So there's a piece that actually started this idea around being on the brink of everything, that was shared a few years ago, of this young woman who took her daughter one day to get the mail, and they were checking the mail, and the woman mom saw that there was this beautiful jasmine plant that had just started blooming, and so she picked up her daughter, and they went and they did that smell, like experienced that the pure smell of the jasmine that was blooming. And she put her daughter down, and her daughter went, and with that same kind of reverence and expectancy, went up to a jade plant, which, as you may be aware, don't smell like anything. And she had that same energy of, like, I am about to experience the exquisiteness of a smell like I've never smelled it before. And so maybe she didn't understand smell yet. She was really young, but what it taught the mom was just about that sense of like, how do I let that kind of energy into my life? It's not about being able to explain, right? Because it's not really about whether the jade smells or not. It's about that kind of energy that says, I am willing to experience something unexpected, maybe, or I'm willing to expect that there is magic right on the other side of this thing that I'm letting myself into, and I'm willing to stop making it have to make sense. And so I think that that's one of the biggest traps that we fall into on the spiritual level, is a lot of what we know doesn't make sense. We can't put words to it. We can't explain it to someone else. We can't explain where we're going, why we're going there, what's happening in us. It just doesn't fit into that paradigm of words and explanations. And so we fall into this trap of trying to make everything fit into that, even though it doesn't. And in doing so, greatly limit the level of our soul's connection to what is happening in us. And that we have to, if we're going to be willing to take full ownership of our wholeness, let the wisdom of our soul speak in a deeper way in our lives, without needing to explain it, without needing it to make sense, without needing it to fit into some story we're telling about our life and where we're going and whatever. Like really just opening to what is it? What does it mean to be on the brink of everything? To embrace everything? And then be invited by that into a deeper sense of our wholeness. Because that's where we go when we let our souls in, is that we stop telling the story about our brokenness and we start seeing the wholeness that exists through us everywhere. So I'm going to invite you into practicing this with me, which may mean that this week sends you in directions you weren't expecting, right? Because when you let your soul into the conversation, you start to hear and experience wisdom that you didn't know was there, and you're going to catch yourself knowing things and being aware on a different level that isn't something that can be explained. And that there in that place we start to really understand what it means to, as that poem so beautifully said, to glow in the ripeness, right? To just glow in it. And it doesn't matter whether we know what we're serving, because it doesn't matter if it makes sense. There's something else happening. So I'm going to ask the band to come on up, because we're going to sing into our prayer this morning. And as we prepare that, I'm going to ask you to maybe think about some place where you've been trying to logic yourself into something, or make it make sense, or explain it, or use your mind and all of its amazing capacity instead of letting your soul into the conversation. And maybe there's somewhere where you maybe even feeling a little stuck in that. We're going to see if through prayer, if we can invite something deeper into the conversation. We're calling it our souls today, so let's invite our souls. So please join me as we anchor into our prayer by singing.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free.
So our prayer of love today is a prayer of recognizing our souls. The way that our soul is calling us into a deeper relationship. The way our soul is asking for us to open and be available to its wisdom. And I just recognize the power and the presence of the one right here and now, opening in us and making us even more available to the conversation that can happen when we let our souls become part of the decision-making process. When we let our souls guide us, when we let the need for logic and explanation have its place, but also invite a deeper, more powerful conversation. And so I just know that this wisdom knows how to speak. I know that this wisdom is like those very, very loud birds right now speaking to us. reminding us of the soul conversation. And I just let go into that wisdom, knowing that I need not put up any barrier between myself and it. That the soul is constantly talking, singing, speaking. And I listen. I put my ear close in and listen hard. And I let go into it. And I let it be. And so it is.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free. Thank you.
Ah, beautiful. So I just have a few announcements. One, that there are baskets in the trees if you would like to make a contribution to this community here in person. There's also a spot on our website, onespiritualcenter.org, where you can do that as well. I also want to remind you that we will be volunteering at Roadrunner Food Bank again, starting this month on the 4th Saturday. We're excited to be able to be back and safely doing that together. So we will be doing that on the 4th Saturday. Bless you. The 4th Saturday. So coming up in a few weeks. And I think that we are ready to sing. So please join us.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord and we can feel alright. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith, hear that diesel humming. Don't need no ticket, you just think. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord and we can feel alright. People get ready, there's a train to joy. One picking up passengers from coast to coast. One faith is the key, open the doors and board 'em. There's room for all that love the most. One love, heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord and we can feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
And we have one last blessing to sing to one another.
Go forth and walk in beauty and know that we are one. You guys swing like fuck, bro. Swing it. That was really fun.